I have a special guest.
Two
Look,
special
it's the
guests.
dog.
This is Emmy. Hi.
So, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I am a corporate finance girly. I've been doing this for a little over a decade, so have some knowledge in it, but still learning lots. I went to DePaul with Gabby. That's how we met. And I moved to Austin 4 years ago. So that's a little about me.
Love. What's an unspoken rule or skill you need to succeed in corporate America or in the finance world?
So, a little bit of background. I started in finance as an independent contributor, as most people do. And in more recent years, in the last 5 years, I have been a people manager. And so that has given me an opportunity to really see how things happen behind the scenes. So, things like annual performance reviews, or how merit is decided, or even just being in rooms with leadership and knowing how they talk about their employees. And I think one of the most important things I've observed is you want to be known. You want your name and your work to be known, because if there's a leader who has no idea who you are, it will impact when they're comparing individuals for performance reviews, things like that. And so make sure that senior leadership knows your work, and it's in a positive way.
What's your best advice for senior leaders getting to know your work?
Ooh, I think don't be afraid to share things. So let's say you're working on something that's not necessarily for a leader, but it has a really great result, or you feel like it's beneficial. Don't be afraid to share it with the leader. Send in an email saying, hey, I worked on this project. I think it has some great insights. Here are some key points, because they don't have time to look at things in detail. And so if you have something that could benefit the company, could help drive something, don't be afraid to share it, honestly, because a lot of people think that there's some kind of like gatekeeping of like sharing information. But if you have great ideas, people love to hear them.
So, to summarize that, self-advocate and be proactive. What do you prefer? What do you prefer? In-house finance or consulting finance?
So I started off my career as a consultant, and after a couple of years, I decided to go in-house, and I do FP&A, so financial planning and analysis. So my type of work is really focusing on budgeting, tracking expenses for companies. It's more corporate finance, and I loved starting my career as a consultant because it almost forced me to learn things very quickly. When you're a consultant, you get a client and you have to produce good quality work really, really quickly. And so being able to move really quickly, understand things, learn things, pick things up really quickly was a great skill to get early in my career. But at the same time, I felt like I had a little bit less control of my career. So you were given a client, you were given a project, and it's almost like you were given a job without actually having to say whether you want to work for that company or you want to do that type of work. And I really struggled with that at the end. And so that's where I decided I want to know exactly like which company I'm working for, what type of work I do. And that really was a critical part of me deciding to go in-house.
So you wanted to be in charge, essentially. That's what I heard. Okay. What's the biggest mistake people make when chasing financial freedom?
I can talk on this topic for days, and there's so many things I would recommend, like make sure you're investing, you're thinking about your future. The one tip I'm going to share that I don't think people realize is a lot of times people say they want to have financial freedom and they're always chasing something in the future. But one of the things I love to talk about is to actually think about how much does your dream life actually cost? So sitting down, thinking through different categories from, travel to types of entertainment you like to do to the type of car you want to drive or the kind of house you want to live in. Actually sit down and think about those things, write down the number, and you might realize that your version of financial freedom is actually closer than you think. And it's not this like far-fetched idea that like in 10 years I'm gonna have all this money, and you never actually quantify how much that is. And so I think having a realistic idea of how much your dream life costs is really important and might actually make you feel like you're gonna get there a lot sooner.
Love. Okay. Last but not least, what is the best advice you can give for people who want to break through the finance industry?
I think it kind of goes with the answer related to starting my career in consulting. I think the other thing that helped me climb the corporate ladder really quickly and get promoted on a pretty regular basis was actually the work I did while I was in college. So by the time I graduated, I had 5 different internships that I've done. And because
wow.
I'm in
And they were all paid, right?
Yes, yes, they were. Because when you're in finance, there are so many different fields you can go into, from something like me that's like FP&A. You could do wealth management, you can do investment banking, so many specific ways to move your career. And so being able to test those out when it's not a path you choose and kind of stick with once you graduate, having internships gives you the skills that will help you level up from day one at your post-grad job. It will help you network and meet the connections that will get you those jobs in the future, and then also help you understand exactly what you like or don't like, because you don't want to end up in a field of finance for the next 15 years just because that's the first job you took after college without having that like 3-6 1-year internship during college.
Laura, you are killing it in corporate.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm trying.
Before it kills us.